everyone. Welcome back to Southern Gal True Crime. I share missing persons, cold cases, true crime news, and more. And in today's video, I have a missing child cold case that is over 40 years old. This is David Ezell Blockett. And on the picture on the very left hand of the slide, he was 2 weeks old. 2 weeks old. When he was abducted. This is a non-family abduction. He was abducted from Newport News, Virginia on December 11th, 1980. And the picture you see there in the middle, that is an age progression photo of David to 39 years old. And he would be around 43 or 44 years old today. So first I'm going to give you the information about David from the Charley Project. And I will put a link and also have a couple of articles that I'm going to read from. And I will put the links to all the sources I use in the description box as always. So David was abducted on December 11th, 1980 from Newport News, Virginia. Like I said, it was a non-family abduction. He's a black male, 2 weeks old at the time that he was abducted. He would be 43 years old today. At the time he was abducted, he was 1 foot 8 inches and 7 pounds. He has black hair and brown eyes. Also very important to know because these things do not change. David has a tiny mole on his right ear and birthmarks under his arm, on his back, and on his buttocks. So David was taken from his family's residence on 13th Street in Newport News, Virginia, under false pretenses on December 11th, 1980. His abductor called herself Marie Kelly and told David's mother, Vanessa Blockett, that the State Department of Social Services was sponsoring a function for children at Riverside Regional Medical Center. Now, this woman convinced Vanessa to let her take David and his 2-year-old brother, Frederick, to this party. Later that afternoon, Frederick was found wandering alone at a shopping center near Old Mallory Road in Hampton, Virginia. He had a piece of paper in his pocket with his name and address on it, and the police returned him to his mother. Unfortunately, there was no indication of David's whereabouts, and he has never been seen again. But that same day, a woman who is believed to be the abductor called David's mother at home and asked her what sort of formula David took, let's say, was taking. What kind of a formula did she use? So the person hung up before police could trace the call. And several days after David's abduction, authorities did find a diaper bag and a leather folder near a parkway in Yorktown, Virginia. And they do believe that the items belonged to the abductor. So let me put up here quickly. This is a sketch of the abductor. So the abductor is described as African American, 32 to 35 years old, with a medium complexion and large hips. She was approximately 5'4" to 5'8" tall, and 145 to 155 pounds, and she has never been identified. So the DSS, the Department of Social Services, did not employ a social worker matching Kelly's name or description, and there was no Christmas party for children at the Riverside Regional Medical Center. Authorities believe that whoever took David may have gotten his name and address from the local newspaper, which provided a listing of recent births 3 days before he was taken. So, of course, we all know, this was back in 1980. Things have changed. You would think in 2024, as I'm recording this video, that you definitely would not put names and addresses of newborn children anywhere. But like I said, back in the 80s, there was a different time. So around the same time as David was kidnapped, A person posing as a social worker approached another family with a newborn, and this mother of that baby told the person to go away. Let's see, put that down. So, to add even more insult to injury, you might say, in a coincidence, two of David's nephews were abducted in June of 2011, over 30 years after his own kidnapping. Now, these boys were the sons of his younger brother, Dante, and they were 5 and 6 years old at the time that they were abducted. Their mother, Yvonne Denise Benefield, had taken them to work with her when a stranger, Summer Pennell, asked for a ride to North Carolina. Benefield agreed and told Pennell to take her car and take the children to the park and watch them until she finished her shift. Instead, Pennell and the children disappeared. So, many of you are probably wondering and thinking like I did when I read this, why would, no, absolutely not blaming the mother. Like I said, once again, 1980s, a very different time from now, but it just sent chills up my spine when I read this part that the mom let this woman she just met take her children to the park and watch them, and basically said, then I'll give you a ride to North Carolina. But just a horrible, sad situation. This one turned out better because it says all three children were found unharmed in Halifax, North Carolina, just hours later, and Pennell was charged with abduction. She did have a long history of mental illness, and in January of 2012, she was found not guilty of the kidnapping by reason of insanity. So Vanessa, who is David's mother, unfortunately died of an aneurysm in 1997 at the age of just 35. Frederick now lives in North Carolina. So Frederick is David's older brother, who was 2 at the time, who was also abducted, but he was left in the park or the shopping center. So he says, as an adult, he could vaguely recall the abduction and stated that there was a man driving the car, and neither the driver nor Marie Kelly would look at the children. And he does remember the couple dropping him off in Hampton. So investigators still have the diaper bag, which contained David's booties, his blanket, a sweater, and a pair of jeans. And also there was a comb with some hair stuck to it, some of David's hair, and they hope to be able to test the items for DNA. And obviously, David's case is unsolved. Like I said, here we are almost 44 years later. So if you have any information regarding David or anything to do with his case, contact the Newport News Police Department at 757-926-8706. So next, I have an article from December 11th of 2015, which would be was the 35-year anniversary of when David went missing. So it says this is an anniversary no parent should ever have to mark. It was 35 years ago when a woman posing as a social worker tricked a Newport News mother into taking her son. No one knows for sure what happened to the baby boy, David Azell Blockett, but the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children is refusing to give up hope. That search is continuing, and I'm not discouraged at all, said NCMEC Executive Director Robert Lowry. On December 11th, 1980, a woman calling herself Marie Kelly told Vanessa Blockett she was there to bring her infant son and 2-year-old Frederick to a Newport News Christmas photo contest. Hours passed. Authorities found Frederick wandering in a Hampton neighborhood with a note in his pocket with his address. However, baby David was gone. It's just hard, the not knowing where he is at or what he might be going through, said David's father, Fred West. I do have a picture see on the side there, the bigger picture is Fred West, David's father, and that smaller inset picture is the age progression of David to 39. Days after the abduction, a diaper bag filled with David's clothes was found on the Colonial Parkway, but there was still no trace of the baby. His mother, Vanessa, later died of a brain aneurysm when he would have been in his teen years. The case had grown cold for decades until 2001, when News Channel 3 took action to get Newport News Police and NCMEC to renew their efforts. They say two theories may explain the abductor's motives. Newport News detective Amber Rogers points to David's 1980 birth announcement that appeared in the Daily Press. That's what I mentioned earlier. Apparently, back in the 80s and that time frame, it was not, uncommon to put birth announcements, giving the name, the address, and. So 3 days later, the mystery woman showed up at David's door with a list of other newborn babies also in the area. She specifically wanted the baby and was looking for another baby down the street, said Rogers. David's abduction was one of the first cases for NCMEC. Lowry believes the abductor took David and raised him as her own. So that's, besides being awful and horrible, to be, abducted at 2 weeks old. That was another reason I wanted to share this case with you, is because there's a definite, my opinion, a good chance that David could still be alive somewhere. Maybe possibly, maybe not still with the abductor, but raised by the abductor, and hopefully he is somewhere out there alive and well. Lowry goes on to say, typically they take the children because of a husband or loved one that they're trying to convince they're pregnant and they're trying to produce a child, Lowry said. In either scenario, David was likely raised by a family he may not know is not really his. At some point, these children, especially as they age into adulthood, start having questions about who they are, said Lowry. Birth certificates may not match the stories they have been told, and documents may be distorted or altered. There are so many unanswered questions surrounding David's abduction, and so many hearts waiting to be healed all these years later. If you're out there, David, said his father, if you're hearing me, know that you're loved, you are missed, and everybody wants to see you come home. David, go back to the other slide. David does have what we talked about earlier, very distinguishing birthmarks, a mole in his right ear, birthmarks on his left arm, back, and buttocks. So if you have any information about David or this mystery woman, Marie Kelly, the name she gave, says take action, call our David tip line at 757-446-1350 or Newport News Police at 757-928-4200. I just have one more article with a couple more quotes from his dad. He says that Fred West says it's just hard, the not knowing. He said, when somebody takes your child from you like that, it just hurts. Absolutely. He also said, I have faith that God will bring him here and bring him home, said West. If you are out there, David, if you're hearing me, know that you are loved and you are missed, and everybody wants to see you come home. I just wanted to share those, just in case, David could be, you never know, could be out and happen to see this, here, something may jog his, although, he was 2 weeks old when he went missing, but, like they said, when they get older, you have to think that they have questions, concerns, when things, like they said, don't match up with documents, so we just always want to put positive vibes out to, any child that went missing that could possibly still be alive. Alright, guys, I believe that is all I have for you. So, thank you for watching. Please give this video a like before you leave. Leave a comment. Please share it anywhere and everywhere you can. The more likes, shares, comments these videos get, the more people that they reach, and that is the most important thing, is for as many people as possible to see this information. So until next time, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, be careful out there, and I will see you next time. Thanks, guys.